Houston has all ears on us.
An earful of information.
On News Radio 740.
Better start listening.
KTRH.
Well, as you know, if Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo had her way, every single Harris County public school would be closed today. They are not. There are 8 systems that are open. Now, our next guest is not technically in Harris County, but I'm sure got a fair amount of pressure from some people who were concerned about going back to class. Barbers Hill ISD Superintendent Greg Poole joins us. I'm really impressed, Superintendent, that you have 80% of your kids that are back in the classroom. They had the choice, right, between either virtual learning or back in the classroom.
That is correct. We do have a choice, and our parents showed a great deal of confidence, and yes, we have 80% in the classroom.
Why do you think that is? Do you think there's a realization that you can't really get the same kind of results with virtual learning that you can when you're in the classroom?
I think a lot of parents learned that at the end of last year, and it doesn't mean that you can't do distance learning. It's just, it's never going to be the same. And for the kids that are at most risk, that don't have a lot of structure at home, those are the ones that oftentimes get little, if any, benefit from distance learning.
What has been the reaction from the teachers? Have you had an issue? You know, we keep hearing that there are teachers who are afraid to return to the classroom. Has it been that way in Barbers Hill?
You know, we have teachers just as concerned as other places, but what I'm so proud of is that the focus is on kids. And there is no doubt that this just does not have a detrimental impact on kids. You hear the county judge talk about, let's make this about science. Well, let's make it about science. And it does not have a detrimental impact on kids, not nearly the detrimental impact that missing a school year has or being in distance learning for most of the year. So, yes, we have concerned teachers, but I'm so proud that the focus is what educators always ought to be focused on, and that's the kids first.
Well, and here's the other problem with focusing on science. The science seems to depend on who you ask in the science world.
That is exactly right. But, you know, the CDC is a fairly recognized group, and they made it clear that unless you have uncontrolled transmission, which Harris County has not had uncontrolled transmission, that unless you have that, you should be in school. So, you know, the key experts say that's where kids should be.
All right, sir. Take me through the protocol a little bit, if you will. How are you protecting those classrooms? What sort of routine are those students and those teachers going to need to go through here going forward as we continue to deal with COVID-19?
Yeah, it was no easy decision. We've never been as busy in our lives, and we've spent $500,000 so far on protocol. We bought a shield, 3-sided plexiglass shield, which was even beyond what the CDC required for every single desk. And then, of course, we have the masks, the hand sanitizer. We have Germinator, a proprietary type of cleaning thing that sanitizes for months. And so it is the most extensive protocol that we've ever accomplished for any thing we've ever done at Barbers Hill.
And what have you told your parents, Superintendent, regarding monitoring their children for not feeling well, under what conditions they should not allow their kids to come to school?
Yeah, we sent out countless memos, updates, a lot of the CDC stuff. You know, the TEA, they were kind of late to the game. They seem, but they did provide some information that we also gave to parents. So between the CDC and the TEA and the American Pediatric Association also, I mean, again, you know, when you talk about science, I would say to the judge, I hope you do look at the science and what it does to kids to not be in school, not to mention taxpayers that pay our salaries, that in every single district in Harris County, there are parents that wish to have that choice. Now, you shouldn't force a kid to go to traditional school, but you shouldn't force a kid to do online if the parent is choosing and making that decision after considering all consequences. They know who they have at home. They know what grandparents might be vulnerable. So if a parent makes that decision, they should get that choice.
We're talking to Barbers Hill ISD Superintendent Greg Poole here on News Radio 740 KTRH. Going forward, sir, let's say there is some sort of an outbreak. At what point would you consider, because this will become a local issue, at what point would you consider shutting down an individual school? What sort of an infection rate would you need to see?
Yeah, see, that's where we got some really conflicting information initially, is what that would require. And that's been one of the biggest issues going forward. I mentioned uncontrolled transmission. That certainly would require shutting down school completely if it was uncontrolled, which is not even close, nor has it been. As far as the campus level, it would have to be uncontrolled at that campus level. So we've not given a number, but we certainly, for example, let's say you have an athletic team. Let's use that as an example. I also am on the UIL committee, and we've had a lot of discussion about this. Certainly, if, say, 20%, if you get over 10% of an athletic team, that's a reason, even though you could still compete, to shut down that program and quarantine. So the key is if it's uncontrolled, and I don't envision a time that you would shut down a campus unless it became extremely severe. Because, again, we've got so many things in place that even if a kid has it in the classroom, that does not mean every kid has to quarantine because they've taken so many safe practices in consideration.
Yeah, something tells me if it's uncontrolled, you're going to know it. You're going to know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
I was going to say that. That didn't sound very scientific, but you are correct.
It's okay.
You will know it.
Some of these things are judgment calls when they happen. Thank you. Appreciate your time this morning.